So guys, today's topic is IPS. Okay. Now with the IPS, what we are going to cover is couple of terminologies, couple of basic concepts. Okay. Now over here, if you look closely, that it is talking about the differentiation between exploits and anomalies. Then you have something which is called as the components of IPS package. Then how do you manage the FortiGate IPS updates? All right. So we are going to cover up all these things. Okay. Now the first thing which we have to understand is that why why basically need IPS, right? See, what happened is that if we start off from a little background story. So what happens is that initially when the network was still spreading, so I'm basically talking about in the 1990s and 2000, early 2000s, the network was still expanding across geographical locations. So in that time, okay, in that era, the challenge was that how to expand the network and how to make it efficient, how to make sure that there is no issues with the packet flow. Okay, that was the main concern at that moment of time. The problem started to happen when you start expanding, right? With expansion, security issues also came into the picture. Now when I say security issues, meaning, for example, let's say it's 1990, so the network was just couple of systems, maybe in confined area of a room, or maybe some certain government organization, and they had couple of devices over there. Okay, so the only challenge at that moment of time was to make sure that there is internet connectivity, as in the network connectivity to all these devices, and if there is any file or if there is any resources, that can be shared with all the other systems that we have. Okay, so that was the only expectation. Okay, now guys, can all of you hear me? Anyone having issues with the voice? All if you can
No
hear me,
problem.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
we can hear
problem.
you.
Okay, okay, good, good, good. So Nathan, maybe you can check on your side something. So, okay, so that was the initial challenge with the 1990s. Now what happened was, as soon as the network started to expand, right, there were ways to mitigate network security, and people started to, take advantage of it, because the concern was never about security. The concern was always about expanding. Okay. So in that era, what happened was, there was no other way to understand, or there was no other way to figure out how to stop a network attack, or how to stop a penetration inside the network. So this was the major challenge at that moment of time. Now the routers were not capable enough, to be honest, because routers can create ACLs, and those ACLs can only allow or block IP addresses. That's it. Can't do anything more. Initially there was a device which was called as IDS. Okay, now IDS was more like intrusion detection. So it's going to detect if there is any attack happening inside the network. Okay, now how that device used to work. So that device basically started to work on a concept which is called as signatures. Now remember, last time when we were discussing about the application control, right? We were talking about signature, we were talking about behavior, right? So the same concept applies with the IPS as well, because this is where the concept of signature or behavior started to come into the picture. Okay, that every protocol, every file extensions that you can think of, every network traffic has a different behavior. Okay, so on that behavior, signatures were created. Okay, so for example, TCP has a different signature, port 80 has a different signature, MP3 file has a different signature, right? So these signatures was started to create to understand that what is genuine behavior and what is non-genuine behavior. To give you a very simple and a very layman kind of an example, when you are, let's say for example, there are 100 people in a confined space, how will you identify which person is maybe a a good person or a bad person? The behavior will tell you the person's how good or bad he is. So if somebody starts to tease or probably, I don't know, kill somebody, you'll know that this is a bad guy, or probably we have to stay away from him. And anybody who's basically helping each other, supporting each other, making them push towards whatever the goal they have, so we know that okay, this is a good guy, probably we can stick to him, right? So that's the same analogy over here as well, that initially we started to understand that okay, if it is a TCP protocol, this is how the behavior is inside the um, network. If it is a port 80 traffic, this is how it behaves. If it is UDP traffic, this is how it behaves. If it is a telnet traffic, SSH, ping, ICMP, whatever it is, this is how it behaves. So slowly what happens is they started creating a database where they know how things work, how the working database is. Then they started to slowly identify that okay, a TCP/80 traffic is supposed to work in this kind of a behavior, but I am seeing a traffic which is calling itself to be a TCP/80 traffic, but then its behavior is different. And that's where the origin of IDS came into play. Okay, where intrusion detection was all about detecting, that's it, to identify if there is any anomaly in the network. Anomaly is something which is something which is not expected, something which is weird. That is what as an anomaly is being called. That is how IDS came into the picture. Now IPS was just an upgrade of the same device. What I mean is, it's like having a security guard. So IDS is like a security guard. If there is a theft happening, he'll just tell you, he'll inform you, you know what, there's a theft happening in your house, go and check. IPS is more like there's a theft happening, he'll probably try to stop that theft happening. That's what the difference between an IDS and IPS is. IPS is basically intrusion prevention. It will try to prevent the attack from happening. How does this guy does that? So again, it's like it already has a database of signatures, how every device work, right? So what will happen is that if in case there is any activity which is not normal, which is not in the database of the IPS, it will treat that particular behavior to be malicious. And if you have allowed, it will stop the traffic right there. Are you able to follow me up, all of you? Right. So this is how IPS and IDS came into the picture. Okay. All right. Now, if you look into the first line, it says increased volume of sophistication of attacks on organizations. So this is how it started off. And sophistication is nothing but improved way of attacking the network. See, for example, 10 years back, Nmap was a software which was only used by, genuine hackers, people who are having absolute knowledge of how, the network works, what are the loopholes and everything. But now Nmap is more like a device which can be, sorry, it's a software which can be used by anybody, right? I mean, just to play around with the fact that how exactly the Nmap software is and how it works out, right? Anybody can do that. Just a technology graduate, just an IT graduate can also do this right now. So this is the difference, 10 years back and now. Okay. So the sophistication is now that there are so many softwares. I mean, if you enroll yourself for CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker, you'll probably get a bunch of softwares where you just have to click certain links, click certain buttons, and your attack is already, in motion, right? So it is quite easy nowadays to attack a network as compared to maybe 10 years back. You really used to you really need to have knowledge and command over languages, the software languages, C plus, Java, and all these languages, Python, whatever languages that you have, you need to have a very much good command over it. But now it's not like that. Everything is a software. You just need to click on that and execute that software. That's it. So this is why it is called as the sophistication has increased. Number of sophistication of attacks has increased. Okay. The second line says that more attacks against client and cloud applications. So right, so because see again, maybe 5 years back, 10 years back, cloud was still a new technology and was something which people were trying to integrate. Okay, but now cloud is already a part of the network. Okay, cloud is already a part of of your company's organization where some part of your network is already being used by the cloud. Okay, so the attack on this particular device also started to work. Okay, now next is BYO, BYOD and remote workers. So BYOD is also one of the challenges in the network. Why? Because what happens is that in the BYOD concept, BYOD is nothing but bring your own device, right? So bring your own device basically creates a lot of challenges. Why? Because see, if it is a company organization laptop, right, you can still ensure that that device can have limited access to the internet, or it will have restrictions with respect to installing the softwares, right? So those restrictions will not allow for malicious softwares to get installed automatically, right? But with the BYOD, it's a personal laptop, it's a personal mobile, right? That could have a lot of implications that can have, I mean, your machine, your system can have a lot of viruses, and if you are introducing that particular system inside the company's network, right, you can introduce a lot of malicious activity or malicious software inside the organization. So that's why BYOD concept, although it's quite easy to implement and set up, and very flexible and scalable in the network, but then it comes with a lot of disadvantages as well. Okay, so the challenge with this is that you have to ensure that whenever you are um, creating a network with BYOD, your security profile should be very much restrictive. You should not allow a lot of flexibility towards a machine or a system which is coming from the outside. Okay. So now let's talk about something which is called as anomaly, and the next is called as an exploit. Okay, so again, as I said, that you have to understand the difference between these two. Okay, why? Because the difference will tell you what is or how you should implement IPS. A lot of time, the students comes up with the problem of that they do know how to implement the IPS, they do know how to configure the IPS, but they are really unsure of when it comes to implementing the IPS in certain topology. Okay, or if there is a question of how would you implement an IPS, or what should be the criteria of implementing the IPS, right? That's where the challenge comes up. Okay, so for making sure that you guys do not face that kind of a challenge, you should basically know about this particular concept of anomaly and exploit. Now see, anomaly, as I said before as well, that anomaly could be anything which is a little off track from the actual behavior. So something which is behaving correctly, but then suddenly started to behave in a very different manner. Okay, so that is an anomaly, right? So for example, it's like a TCP connection or a TCP/80 connection, an HTTP connection. Okay, it was working perfectly fine for a very long time with your servers, but then suddenly you started to see a lot of traffic for port 80 with, in second. So basically millions of connections in 1 second, where initially it was like just thousands of connections, maybe 20,000, 50,000 connections, but now it's more like a million of connections coming in. So now you know that this is a anomaly where it is not expected. This is how it is not this is how it is supposed to work, but then this is how the traffic is coming up. So that's why you call this as an anomaly. Okay, all right. The next is the exploit. Okay, now exploit is not something that you can, it's not like you have an you are just guessing that this could be an attack. Okay, this is 100% attack. Okay, it is a confirmed attack, it is known to be attack on the network. Okay, so this is what an exploit is. Exploit basically means it's 100% confirmed attack, and in the network it is basically going to create issues in your network, and if it is left untouched, then probably it could spread across your whole network, and then maybe a network down situation can also happen. Now, how is this guy detected? The only way it gets detected is by a signature. it's a signature has to match on this, then you will call this as a 100% exploit. Otherwise you can't really call it. Okay. Now, known vulnerabilities. Now, again, see, this is a new technical term, vulnerability. So, vulnerability is again something like a loophole in the network. Vulnerability basically means that if you're, it's like a backdoor to your system. Okay, so let's say, for example, you have TCP port 80 and TCP 443. That is your front end. Okay, but some way or the other, because of certain software issues or hardware issues, your system is also accepting traffic for port 8080, which is kind of a backdoor, right? So that is a vulnerability. Now, vulnerability can only be patched with the right updates. So if your system is taking continuous updates, then probably you can still stop the loophole. But then if it is not, then you won't be able to stop that particular loophole. So this is what is called as a vulnerability. Now, this is the difference between the anomaly and exploit. Anomaly is like it could be an attack, not 100% sure. It is a behavior which is not expected, but then it is there. So you have to again check whether this could be a problem or not. But exploit, again, it's like 100% confirmed attack. Okay, a signature has already matched, and IPS is already telling you that this is a confirmed attack for you. Okay. Now the next is, okay, so now look at the first line. It says flow based detection, right? So see, always remember this. Okay, if you want to take this down as a note, please do. So IPS is the only, it's not the only actually, but then IPS, the way it is designed, the way it is being coded inside the FortiGate firewall is that it will only function with the flow based technology. Okay, so no normal question comes up that what happens if I have a proxy based policy. So it does not mean that if you have a proxy based policy, then it will not work. It does not mean that. What it means is that even if you have a proxy based policy, it will still continue to work with the flow based technology. Okay, why? Because this is how the feature is designed. It cannot function on a proxy based setup. Okay, so IPS always function with the flow based technology. Okay, now again, known exploits matches. Okay, there are databases. So the databases, again, you can call them as protocol decoders. Okay, now again, it's a technical jargon. Protocol decoders are nothing but just your your IPS engine. It's designed in such a way that it will basically decode all the protocols. So if it is a TCP protocol coming in, it will decode that particular signature, and it will just try to match that particular signature. So if it is, if from the outside, if it is looking for it's looking like a TCP, right? It will decode that, it will check the signature that the database is also TCP or not. That's what it means. Okay. All right. So, guys, just give me 1 minute. I'm getting a call. Give me 2 minutes. I'll come back. Okay. All right. So now the next thing is that the IPS, right? Over here, the uh, okay, I don't know why people keep calling me in this time. Okay, so as I said, the IPS engine, right? The IPS engine is not something which only the IPS database works for. You can also see that the application control, the antivirus, web filtering, email filter, data leak prevention, all of them takes help of the IPS. Okay, so why is such kind of a behavior? See, what happened is the way IPS is designed, right? IPS is designed with all the database, right? All the signatures which you can think of, your FortiGate firewall IPS database has that. Okay. Now what happens is that with this particular setup, okay, your AV, your antivirus, your web filtering, all of them, okay, all of them are basically taking help of this IPS database. Why? Because at the end of the day, your antivirus is also looking for malicious traffic, right? Some viruses inside the network. Okay, your application control is also doing the same thing, right? So what happens is that the IPS database is basically, making sure that this database is being shared between all the other security profiles such as application control, right? So it's, again, it's just that every security profile shares it, but the way it is being implemented is different. Okay, so that's what the difference comes. It is not that the database is being used from IPS so that it is basically the same IPS, it's the same database. No, it's not like that. The database is different. It is just that they are using the engine. That's why it is called as using the IPS engine. Okay. Okay. Now, okay, guys, come just 1 minute. Okay. So now let's talk about the protocol decoders. Okay. Now, if you look over here, um, quite a technical jargon over here, right? Decoders parse protocol. What does it mean? See, decoders parse protocol basically means decoders scan the protocols. Okay, it scans the protocols because decoders know the behavior of it. Okay, they know the behavior, and that's why they scan the protocols. All right, the way, and that's why they are called as parsing the protocol. Okay, now IPS signature finds parts of the protocol that don't confirm, right? For example, too many HTTP headers or a buffer overflow attempt. Okay, so to make it simple, okay, what it basically means is that, as I said in the earlier discussion, right, that if the expectation is to have, let's say, 50,000 HTTP traffic, right, but then suddenly you started to, get around 50 lakh or 5 lakhs of HTTP traffic coming in. Okay, that's a weird behavior. So IPS looks for that particular behavior. Is it genuine behavior? It is an expected behavior, or is it something which is weird, something which is not accepted, something which is maybe matching an attack signature? Okay. Now, unlike proxy-based scan, IPS often does not require INA standard protocols, standard ports. Okay. See this. What basically this means is that whenever the IPS is scanning, right? So you look over here. Whenever the traffic is from, let's say for example, the port used over here is 55,373, and it is going to 443 traffic. Okay. So your IPS is not something which is looking for ports. It is not looking for ports. It is looking for that it is a 443 traffic, right? Now when I say 443, what it means? It means HTTPS, right? Okay. So it is looking for the behavior of an HTTPS traffic. If the behavior is exactly how the HTTPS traffic should be, you're good to go. If you're not like that, then you are blocked. That's what it matters. So when it says that IPS often does not require INA standard ports, this basically means that what if you have a custom port of 4443? Okay. What if you're using a different port? Let's say, for example, rather than having a port 80 for HTTP traffic, you are basically having 8080, right? So it does not really look for the standard ports. It does not look for that. What it checks is it the HTTP traffic? Is it the signature of an HTTP traffic? If it is 443, is it a signature of an HTTPS traffic? If yes, you are allowed to go. If not, then no. Okay. Are you guys able to follow me? Are you able to understand what I'm trying to say over here with respect to the IPS, how the IPS behaves in the network? Okay. Now, yeah, this is important. IPS updates. Okay. Now, see, the first line says IPS packages are updated by FortiCard. Fine, that's what's the big deal in that. See, over here, the if you want to check that which come on. If you want to check whether your system, whether your FortiGate firewall is taking updates or not, then you can go into system inside the FortiGate. So you'll be able to see whether the device is registered or not. Okay. If it is a hardware or virtual machine, whatever it is, then is the firmware. What is the expiration date of a firmware? So even for me, it is like 2023, which is fine, right? I still have some, a year for this. Okay. So this is what it basically means. Okay. Your IPS definitions is getting updated. Your IPS engine is getting updated. Now see, there is a difference. IPS definition and IPS engine. See, IPS definition is nothing but your database. IPS engine is basically the software. It's like having a it's like having a Microsoft Office Word with 2007 series, and now it is still working for you, no issues at all. But because of certain bugs, you have to upgrade the Office. Okay, so now you are working with Microsoft Office 2020, right? So that is a upgradation of the software itself. So IPS definition is just the database of signatures. But IPS engine is basically the software, the engine itself. It is getting upgraded. Okay. Now this happens very rarely. Okay. But IPS definitions basically it's like a daily work. Okay. Second line, regular updates are required to ensure IPS remains effective. Absolutely correct, because it's like just having a Windows machine, but then if you stop having Windows patch management, right? So it will not update itself, it will not patch the servers, it will not patch the Windows system. What will happen? Slowly and gradually, your system will become slow. Slowly and gradually, your system will be susceptible to viruses, malicious content, right? That's what exactly happens over here as well. If you are not updating your IPS, then your system, your FortiGate, your entire network is susceptible to getting attack. Okay, so you should always make sure that whenever you are going for this, you are making sure that your system is always up to date. Now look over here, in, a little. Let me see if I can I maximize? Yeah, I can. Okay, great. Okay, now see, look over here. The first thing it says schedule updates, right? And then you have 4 options. It says every, then you have daily, then you have weekly, and then you automatic. See, the suggestion is to always use the automatic. Okay, now why? Because it will automatically keep on checking for updates, and then if it finds an update, it's going to take that up. If you're going for weekly, I'll personally suggest never go for weekly, because weekly updates for IPS is like a disaster. Why? Because see, every day there are millions of connections, millions of new malicious content being created, new viruses created, Trojan viruses, and so many things coming up. .NET viruses, zero-day attacks, and hell lot of things coming up. Weekly is like a disaster. You are welcoming, attackers to come in and just break your network. Okay, never do that. Daily is also fine, but then you have to make sure that whatever time frame that you select when it comes to daily, you should make sure that your internet connectivity is not down at that moment of time. What I personally suggest is either you go with the automatic option, which is default, or you go with the every option, the first one. Every is like our hourly basis, every 4 hours, every 6 hours, every 10 hours, something like that. So if you put a number between 8 to 10 hours, that's a good number to have, because every 8 to 10 hours it will basically check if there is anything great. If not, then it's fine. Again, it will going to check for the next day in the 8 or 10 hours. So it will basically, your system will make sure that your device is always updated. Even if it misses out once, it will make sure that it will connect again, and then it has the updates. Now, extended database is nothing but, including database, which is old database, meaning, for example, 2000 series, 2005, 2010. Okay. If there was a signature, if there was an attack at that moment of time, it will also include that. Now, why do you need it? See, again, for it is required, or it is recommended for organizations which has system which are a little older. Okay. For example, Windows 7, although it is now not being used, but then there are so many organizations out there who are still using it. I still remember people who are still using Windows XP. Can you beat that? People still using Windows XP, right? So if those kind of system gets connected to the internet, it's a disaster, right? So this is why you have the IPS extended package, where basically it include all the IPS attacks databases of the previous years as well. So it will basically help you if in case you have old systems in your network as well. List of IPS signatures. Okay, see, the list of IPS signatures over here is talking about the amount of signatures that you can have. Now see, if you look closely, over here it is saying 13,995. That's the amount of database that it has. Now when I say database, it can be Windows signature, it can be a software signature, it can be a Office signature, Notepad signature. You can, I mean, it could be anything, right? So this is what it means: the amount of signature which your firewall carries. Okay. Now, if you look this into our evaluation license VMware VM machines, this would be anywhere maybe 4,000 or 6,000, something like that. 4 to 6,000 or 7,000. That's it. Okay, but those are, again, all those are irrelevant. Those are not updated. So anyway, that's not going to be used. But then in your office environment, probably you can check this out. You go into the security profiles, you go into the intrusion prevention. Okay, and then this is the place. Okay, you go into this place, security prevention, sorry, security profiles, intrusion prevention, and view IPS signatures. Okay, so you will be able to see how many signatures your device carries. Okay, and you can also see the amount of information about the severity, as in how much of it's like a category based system, how much of high, how much of critical, how much of medium. Okay, on the basis of target, as in, is it a server based or is it a client based, right? Or on the basis of the operating system, is it a Windows, a Linux, Mac, or whatever it is. Now just look over here, see the amount of signature which the Windows has, right? So much vulnerable your system, your Windows system can be, right? Okay. Now see, this is talking about the configuration of the IPS sensor. Now again, we can still continue going through this, but then this will, you'll get bored, because again, it's a practical thing, and getting this theoretical becomes boring. So let's do one thing. I'll take a pause, okay, and let's move up to the lab. Hold on. 1 second.
Rakshit sir,
Yeah.
sir, what is this? Basically, this CVE 2007-4287.
Okay.
Even recently, that Apache server vulnerability that
Mm-hmm.
viral, right?
Hmm. Log4j.
A little. Uh.
Hmm.
What is this story like? How they identify?
Okay. Okay. See, what happens is that CVE is basically it's like a document which is being prepared for whatever vulnerability there is. Okay, an official documentation. Okay, that's what the CVE basically. Okay, let me show you. Uh, what is CVE? Okay, so common vulnerabilities and exposures. Okay, so look over here. Common vulnerabilities exposure system provides a reference method for publicly known information security vulnerabilities and exposures. Basically, in a way, it is saying that there is a document, and this document tells you about whatever new exploit or vulnerability or exposures which has been out there in the space. You would be able to have an official documentation for it. Okay, so just like for your passport, who is the authorized person? Government is the authorized person, and only government can authorize a passport, right? Similarly, the CVE is like an authorized document which explains about what is the vulnerability inside whatever Windows platform you have, or some firewall that you have. Okay, it could be anything, but an official documentation, this is what you call as CVE. Okay,
Mhm.
now whatever vulnerability which comes over here. I mean, I don't know if you remember, there was a time somewhere around 2012 where SSL Heartbleed was a vulnerability which came into the picture. That was such a huge disaster. Now, why I know this is because I was working with Juniper Tech at that moment of time. SSL vulnerability is like every device which is working on SSL will have this loophole. This loophole basically allows the attacker to to get some information inside. Okay, so at that moment of time, we also have to share some official documentation from Juniper, plus we also have to share the CVE. Okay, so this CV is nothing but just a way to understand from an official documentation that what exactly a vulnerability is and how does it affect the system. That's it.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
No problem.
And one
Hmm.
more, we have this Airtel and TCL. They will basically monitor this DDoS and DOS attacks, right?
Yeah.
So apart from that, that we are monitoring this IPS. IPS is like it can capture the signatures in a low only. If
Hmm.
it is a high volume, this Airtel and TCL they will monitor, right?
Right. True. Okay. So I'll power this device on. Okay, let's take the ITPC. Okay, it's powering on. Okay. Hmm. Okay. So the IP we have is 43. Hmm. Okay. See, now in the policy objects, right? So we have a firewall policy. Let's say, okay, we have this intent access policy. As of now, it does not have anything at all. Okay. If you go into the security profiles, you have the IPS signatures. Sorry, over here, intrusion prevention. Okay. Now, do you see this? The amount of default profiles that you have. Okay. Now, see, every profile over here has a different um, function functionality. Okay, so for example, look over here in the default section. Okay, it says prevent critical attacks. Now, what are the critical attacks, and how do you define that this is a critical attack? Okay, we're going to see that real soon. Look over here. Protects HTTP server. Protect against HTTP server side vulnerability. Okay, so basically, it's there are default profiles which is created. Okay, and these default profiles have included certain signatures, and those signatures only target certain part of your system. Okay, so for example, the HTTP server, right? It is basically targeted towards an HTTP server, and any server which is an HTTP server, and any loopholes in that, it basically targets that. So if there is any loopholes, okay, and every system has a loophole, every protocol has a loophole. So to protect that particular server from that loophole, so that nobody from the outside or inside should be able to take advantage of that particular loophole, you have this particular IPS profile. Okay, where you are just making sure that your signatures are only selected for that particular traffic. Okay, now tell me one thing. It's an HTTP server, right? Okay, now this will have all the signatures for HTTP. If I add FTP signatures as well, does it make sense? No. Why? Because this particular server is first of all not dealing with the FTP services, right? So your firewall policy will also not have FTP services inside that. So anyway, the traffic which is coming for FTP, if it is targeted to this particular server, it will anyway get dropped, right? So that's the point, that whenever you are creating an IPS signature, you should know what is the reason or logic behind creating this particular security profile. Okay, so let me show you, for example, the default one. Now it says that prevents critical attacks. Okay, but how will I know what kind of critical attack are we talking about? Okay, now see, I made certain changes, so let me take up another profile. Now see, it says protect against HTTP server vulnerability. Now do you see this? It says target server protocol HTTP. Now let me show you. I'll edit this up. Okay. See, again, there's one more option, the view IPS signatures. If you click this, okay, do you see how many signatures we have? 5,864. Now remember, when a couple of slides back I was telling you that that particular device had 13,000 signatures. My device just had 5,800 signatures, right? Because of course mine is a valuation license. It just have basic signatures. That's it. Okay, rest is all updated. Okay, so for if you want to check, you can also check in your client system, in your FortiGate firewalls. Okay, see how many signatures you have. Okay, now I'll edit this. Okay, this is the IPS signature and filter. Now, do you remember how the web filtering used to work? It has to have it had a URL filter. So you create a URL filter, you specify a specific URL, and then either it will allow, either it will deny. Okay, same concept over here as well. It is just that you're adding not a URL but a signature database. Okay, how do you do that? Let's see. So you click on edit. Okay, so once you click on edit, it is basically asking you, would you like to filter on the sorry, would you like to see the list on the basis of the filter, or would you like to see the list on the basis of the signatures? Okay, so if you look over here, it basically lists out all the signatures. It is not categorizing it on any basis. It is just the list of signatures. if you click on the filter option, then this is getting categorized, okay, with the specific signatures only. Okay, why? Because you are targeting a filter over here. You have already mentioned filter, server, and HTTP. So that's why you have only 2388 signatures. Do you know if I remove this, it will increase? Let me show you. HTTP. See, 3600. I'll remove this as well. Target server. See, 5800. Okay. So again, the filter, if you use this, then you have to basically use a filter over here from these, and then you have to select one of them. Okay. Let me show you how what all different types of filters we have. Okay. Now, do you see this? You have around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 filters. One is the target, then you have the severity, then the protocol, OS, then application. Now let's see what do we have in each. So in the target section, we have either client or server. Now tell me, is there anything else apart from this? Can there be any other target apart from client or server? When I'm talking from the layer 7 perspective. Okay. So basically, these are the two devices that you have. Then you have the severity. Now severity is basically the amount of criticality of the signature. Okay, so green and blue is like these are not really an attack, these are not really a problem, these are just something which is a little weird. You can check it. If you want to ignore it, that's also okay. If the severity is a little orange, okay, you should check this. If it is dark orange, absolutely you should be checking what is the problem, because it basically means your network is not behaving in the manner which is where it is supposed to. And red is like it's a red critical attack. It's an attack. Okay, so you have to basically see what's happening. Okay, all right. Now the next is, once the severity is done, we have protocols. Now we have 45 protocols. So CAP, PAP, DNS, DHCP, FTP, HTTP, HTTPS, you name it and it's there, right? So again, when I say these protocols, what does it mean? It means this is how LDAP's behavior. What is the behavior of an LDAP protocol? This is the database for that. What is the behavior of a POP3 protocol? This is the behavior of, this is the signature for that. What is the behavior of a radius protocol? There's the behavior of it. Okay. So basically all of them are being saved away. Next is the operating system. Again, for a Linux machine, how it is behaving, for a Mac OS machine, how it is behaving, Solaris, Windows, right? Okay. Next is the application. So you have around 36 application. Now, again, of course, mine is not updated. So 36, maybe in your case, it would be different. In your client's environment, it will be different. Okay. So you see, you have Adobe, Apache, IBM, see Microsoft Office is also there, right? So P2P, Samba, Sun Solaris, Veritas, Winamp. Look over here, Winamp. How many of you remember Winamp? You know, back in the old days with Windows 98, we used to have an audio player, which we used to call as Winamp. Okay. So now I'm not really sure, is it the same Winamp or something else? I am not really sure of that. Okay. But then this is what the entries are. So you can select from one of these. Now see, because I was clicking, all of them got selected. Okay. Let me remove all of them. Okay. All right. So again, this is the filter and you have to basically select one of this. Okay. And there are a couple of actions. We all know what is allow, monitor, block, and reset. Okay. Quarantine is basically when you want a specific traffic to get quarantine. Okay. That's what it basically means. Okay. Now let me show you how to get this lab done, okay, with the IPS. Okay, because what happens is with the IPS it becomes difficult, a little difficult, because you need to have a license of it. Okay, all right. So you take up the default one. Okay, now inside the default one, you click on, you'll have certain signatures over here. Okay, you remove all those signatures. Okay, then create new. Let me see what does. Oh, okay. I think I have created a signature. Yeah, guys, just copy this up. I'll paste it in the chat. Okay, please save it somewhere. Okay, did everyone got this? Chat window, just check the chat window. Has everyone got this? It's a custom signature. It's a part of your NEC 7, by the way. Okay, good. Now, why I have shared this signature? Because, of course, because your IPS will not work without the license, right? So I have created a custom signature for us to basically work in the lab. Okay, so copy this up, okay, and save it in your notepad or somewhere. And whenever you're doing a lab, just make sure that you create this signature. Otherwise, you will not be able to do a IPS lab. Okay. Now let me show you how to create the IPS, I mean a custom IPS signature. So I'll copy this, copy. Okay. So you come over here in the IPS signatures tab. So you go into the security profiles, rather than coming into the intrusion prevention, you come into the IPS signature. Okay. You click on create new. It will ask for a signature. So I'll say block Google. Okay. And then you paste it over here. Now, see FSBID. This is just a small intro. FSBID is like a syntax. Okay. Guys, are you able to copy the signature, all of you? Acha, let me do one thing. I'll just paste it inside the WhatsApp group. Okay. Hold on. No. Okay. 1 second. Okay. It's in the WhatsApp group. Just confirm me. Did you all got it?
Yes, we got it.
Okay. Good. So block Google ping and FSBID is basically the syntax. Okay, so this is how the FortiGate firewall gets to know that okay, there is a custom signature over here. Okay, the next thing is see attack ID is again this is generated automatically. Let me just save this. Yeah, see failed to save changes. Do you know why this is happening? Because there is already an attack ID with this particular name. So hold on, I'll remove this up. Okay. Let me see. See, got it. So block Google Ping, and now it took it up. Give me 1 sec, guys. I'll paste the newer signature. So I'll delete this one. Okay. All right. Done. Okay. So now what you have to do is see now the attack ID changed from 2292 to 2293. Okay. So again, this is something which gets generated automatically. You do not have to do anything about it. Okay. But see, this is the syntax and it basically tells you how to go about. So whenever you are creating a custom signature, you have to give a name to it. Okay. So you say it's a double dash, okay, double dash name space, then inverted comma, open, then whatever name that you want to give, it's absolutely fine. No, whatever name that you want to give, you can. You say ping, inverted comma, close, and then there is a semicolon. Okay, so semicolon basically means that this part of the segment or this part of the IPS signature is complete. Move on to the second part on the next part. Okay, so again, double dash basically signifies that you are starting the new section. Semicolon signifies that you are ending the section. Is it clear to all of you? Are you able to follow me up? Semicolon basically means you are ending a section. Double dash means you are starting a new section. Okay, so now double dash and then you say protocol. So which protocol? You say ICMP. Okay, and then and again a semicolon. So semicolon again is basically saying section over, then again a double dash and then you say ICMP type, because just mentioning ICMP will not work. You have to be very specific about what exactly that you're trying to achieve. Whenever you're working with the IPS signatures, you have to be very specific. Okay, so over here I'm saying ICMP type is 8. Okay, and then again semicolon, meaning ending the section, and double dash beginning a new section with the ICMP code of 0. Okay, so we are specifically mentioned that this is an ICMP request packet. Okay, then semicolon, ending the section, double dash DST ADDR, meaning for what address do you want this to work. So it's 8.8.8. So there are so many things that you can go work with the custom signature. Now again, for you as an administrator, you are not you're not supposed to be creating this, because this is the job of a tag. Okay, they'll take up the packet captures and basically create the signatures from that. But you should know how this signature works. Why? Because once you know how this signature works, you will be able to troubleshoot better. Okay, all right, so we are done with that. Click on OK. Now we have block Google pin. Okay, so we have this custom IPS signature which is mentioned over here. Let's go back to the intrusion prevention, default one. Okay, now let's just delete this up. Okay, now we'll create a new one. Okay, now it's a filter, which is fine, but then with the filter I won't be able to see it. Why? The reason why I won't be able to see it is because it is not, it's a custom signature, it is not a predefined signature. Okay, so I'll have to come into the signature tab. Okay, once you do this, it will automatically show on the top custom signatures. So I'll use this one, the Google ping, which we just created. Okay, action is block. Okay, packet logging, do you want to enable packet logging for it? Yes, of course. Status, do you want to be enabled or not? Yes, of course, and I want this to be enabled. Rate based setting, default, leave this, ignore this. Okay, do you want any exemption? IP addresses which should be exempted? No, not as of now. Okay, now see one thing, it says add selected, so it is not yet selected. Okay, you have just, it is, so there will be a, this particular sign will come up. You click on this, do you see this now? Yeah, so if I, let me remove this. Okay, add this again. Now this is selected. Now you click on OK. Done. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to block ping. Okay, done. Add it to the default IPS. Now let's go back to the firewall policy. Okay, and let's see what do we have over here. Okay, now see, as of now I do not have anything. So what is the expected behavior? The expected behavior is that this would work, right? So, oh, the PC did not get booted up. Hold on. Okay, so we do have the IP address. Let's just make sure that we are able to ping. Okay, good to know. Now let's just quickly check internet as well. Okay. Okay. There was a different. Hmm. Ah, how did that happen? Okay, hold on. Okay, now I think now this should work. Hmm. Okay. Why is it still not working? Gates. Okay, I think I know. Sorry guys, I think I was there was a different batch, so I was training them on SD-WAN. So that's why I had to remove all these things. Now it should work. Now this should work. Yeah, got it. Okay, so we can now see that we are able to ping 101, no problem at all. And let me just quickly show you ping 8.8.8.8 as well. Okay, and that should also work. Yeah, okay. So now let's move on to the policy objects. On policy. Okay, and we're going to start off with the IPS, and the default is fine. Okay, so now we have the IPS enabled. Now inside the IPS, what we have done is that we have enabled the signature, a custom signature to block Google Ping, right? So let's see if it is working or not. Still pinging. What do you think? What's the problem? Who can tell me? There you go. This is the problem. Not the problem, it actually makes sense because of course your traffic was already in the session table. Okay, so it was taking the previous configuration. All right. We have to just wait, or let's refresh 24 seconds. So once 24 seconds is done, we should be able to get this thing working. Okay, so what happens is that whenever a traffic is in the session table, okay, then FortiGate firewall does not look for the policy. Why? Because it's already in the session table, meaning the policy has been checked previously. Okay, so that's why it does not check it again, right? And that's the reason you are making whenever you make certain changes and see if it is not making sense to you, it's because the traffic is already in the session table. Okay, so let me try this again. Do we have something for ICMP somewhere? No. Okay, so I think let's try this again. Okay, let's see if this works out now. See, there you go. It just verifies what we are thinking, right? If the traffic is in the session table and then you are making some changes to it, it will not work until you clear the session. Okay, so now we can see that the IPS custom signature has started to work for us. Okay, and we are able to block traffic for 8.8. Okay, now see, if I go for ping 1.1.1.1, I can still make it work, right? So the custom signature is very much specific to what you are trying to access. Okay, now let's see how does the log looks like for this. Go into the log and report section. Okay, now you go directly to the intrusion prevention section. Okay, now do you see this? Action dropped 30 seconds ago. Action dropped. Okay, double click, time frame, session ID, IP address, region, port address, destination address. Okay, and you can see over here that this is getting blocked, right? Make sense? Are you able to understand this, all of you? Okay, all right. Now, let me do one thing. Guys, have you mentioned anything in the Google form link that we have? Do you guys have any questions before we move ahead a little bit? Anything that you would like to talk about? Anything that you would like to discuss?
Rakshit,
Yeah.
I add the question in the Google
Okay.
form also, but I
Hmm.
have one question right now. You said about session table,
Mhm.
so we cannot apply IPS if some session is already there. Like somebody is continuously trying HTTP, and we thought we need to block through IPS.
Mhm. No, but then if that connection is already approved, allowed from a firewall policy, and then if you are changing the same policy, okay, then you have to basically clear the session first. So for
How to clear
example,
this?
Dykes system, I'll show you. Hold on, I'll show you. Let me just quickly just check the questions first. Um, where did it go? Hmm. Okay, so now let's have a look into the question. So the first question is coming up with Kripa Sindhu. So to identify the behaviors of a protocol, that's the job of a firewall developer. Yes, in a way, yes. That's the job of a software developer, basically. To I mean, it's not that they have to identify, it is already there, everything. They have just to make sure that they're following the right standards, protocol standards. Okay. Next is Shrikant, and he's asking, hold on. Is it possible we can remove or uninstall last update of the IPS signature or definition in case we have any issues after that update? No, no, you cannot. Kripasindhu says, any way to remove some entry from the session table forcefully, or we have to wait? Yes, you can definitely. I'll show you that. Nilesh, do we need to IPS filter in firewall policy every time? Do we need to filter IPS in the firewall policy every time? Okay, I'm not sure if I get that. Nilesh, can you unmute yourself and
No, Rakshit, sorry. Do we need to call IPS filter? Because I have seen that you prepare the IPS
custom
filter
signature?
and you called it in policy. So do we
Right.
need to call it every time?
No. See, again, the reason I did this is because we do not have a license, right? And to create an environment where I can show you how the IPS work, how the logs gets generated, right? How the behavior works, right? That's why I created a custom signature. Otherwise, what you do is you basically go on create new, okay, and then you'll have around 15,000 signatures over here. You just need to select the one which makes sense to you. Okay, so for example, let's say you have a file server and then you want to apply IPS on a file server. What do? You go into the filter section, you select over here, okay, and then you look for servers. Okay, so you target since it's a server, right? File server itself is a server, so you select the server, and then since it's a file server, probably FTP will be used in there, right? So select the FTP protocol, select the server protocol, and that's it. So now look over here. With the server and FTP, right? You have 875. Okay, maybe in your office environment it could be around 1500 or 2000 signatures. So these signatures will be called, and then you can apply this on a policy.
So Rakshit, in real environment, do we need to create such filters, or it is automatically created?
No, you have to. See, so as a firewall administrator, you do not have to, but as an escalation engineer, you should be. Okay, so what happens is as soon as you slowly,
actually in our sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
In our environment, we are using Dell IPS, yeah. No, it's McAfee IPS. So and we never create such kind of policy. Signature in IPS.
Yeah, because what happens is you are basically using a dedicated IPS, right? Now, dedicated IPS basically has a pre-configured IPS signatures. Okay, so what you do is you basically, it's like a set up and forget it kind of an environment. Okay, but when it comes to the firewalls, what happens is that it is not always the case that you have to go with the option of just apply this particular profile and this will work. No, a lot of times you have to have the understanding of that what exactly that you are trying to protect. Okay, so if it is for example, let's say if it is an HTTPS server, and then you have a HTTP server signatures, then that will not make sense, right? So again, over here the question is not about that you have to make changes or not. That depends on the customer's environment, that depends on the implementation. But with senior level, I mean, so for example, I should not be naming, but then there are Qatar Airways. Okay, their FortiGate firewall have custom signatures. Why do they have custom signatures? Because they are using certain custom applications, and to make sure that those custom applications are not making a problem in the firewall, they have added custom signatures to it. Okay, apart from this, they have data centers, they have server farms, and every server farm has specific signatures added to it. Okay, on the basis of whatever the functionality is, they are adding signatures to it. So it is not that your pre-configured profiles will always run. Okay, it is not like that. You should know what is the reason behind. I mean, if that was the case, why would any device will give you the option to add certain things, right? It would be like set it and forget it, right? So again, it's about what kind of environment or what kind of a client that you have, and on the basis of that you might have to take up a decision. Okay, so if you have dedicated IPS are mostly like this, where it's those are mostly intuitive, and those are certain profiles or certain configurations are such that you can just apply that and just forget. You do not have to even look inside the signature that what is happening. Okay, but again, not every time, not every case is like this.
Sir. So signature is the means It's a FortiGate provider, means or any third party is there who is providing signatures to the all vendor.
No, it's all for Fortinet's own signature databases.
Every file vendor, they have their own.
Every firewall has. So there is also so although I'm not 100% sure, but I was reading an article a couple of months back which talks about so there is an organization which basically creates signature, and every vendor out there, every vendor basically takes signature database from them. Okay.
Okay,
So
just like Android, they put their own flavors.
Right.
There is a vendor Siren.
Windows Siren. Okay.
Yeah, people are taking the signatures and everything. It's web
Yeah.
filtering, IPS signature, all those things, because Versa
Yeah, so
firewall
it's
takes all
similar.
those things.
So even so, I'll search this maybe tomorrow. There, it's a very good article. That article was talking about Palo Alto and Checkpoint and FortiGate. There are certain signatures which are very specific to certain locations and country locations. Those signatures. So basically, every vendor purchases that signatures from them. I'll search it out. If I get that article, I'll share that with you guys. So okay, so if possibly share the yeah, definitely. Okay. There was a question I think about how to clear up the sessions, right? That was the question. So let me show you.
How to class this session?
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll just remove the profile for now, so that it basically allows me to create the ping. Okay. All right, now what is the command to check the session table? Guys, what is the command to check the session table?
Get system session.
Session what?
List.
Yes.
List.
Okay. So we have this many list. Now we have TCP and we have UDP, no other protocol, right? So let's create some connection. Ping working, great. Again, get system session list, and yes, there you go. Okay, I'll again do this. Okay, there you go. Now, if you want to clear a session, okay, if so, the command is diagnose. Write this down: diagnose system session clear. This is the command. But please do not, execute this command. Why? If you do this, it is going to clear off every session which is in the FortiGate firewall. Okay, so never do this. What you do is you go for diagnose system session, and then you say filter, then you say source, or you can say source, you can say destination, you can say protocol. There are so many filters. Okay, so I'll do a question mark over here. See, you'll get to know how many, so many filters out there, right? So you do this with a source whenever you are troubleshooting. Okay, whenever you are troubleshooting any situation, any scenario with the customer or maybe the end user machine, and if you want to clear off the sessions, always use this filter source. Okay, and then enter the IP address of the source. So for me, it is 172.16.32.20. Okay, so 172.16.32.20. Enter. Okay, now filter is ready for you, meaning you are just telling or instructing the FortiGate firewall that, hey, you know what, list, or the filter you have to consider is this, which is having a source of 32.20. Okay, now I say diagnose system session and I say clear. Okay, so what will happen is all the connections which is for this particular source IP, that will get cleared off. The rest will still remain there. Okay, so if I do a get system session list, okay, only the ICMP will basically remove. Okay, now let me show you one thing very quickly. I'll have to do this. I have to do this very quickly. So what I'm actually doing is I'll apply the policy in front of you. Ping happening. Chalo, let's quickly implement the policy. IPS default enabled, click on OK. Okay, now the expected behavior is that you should be able to stop the ping. Okay, but it is still working. Do you know why? Now you know why. Again, system list. See this. Is it making sense to you? Or are you getting confused? Are you able to follow this up?
Sir, please run one continuous ping.
Now, what you have done is there will be a constant entry in the session
Yes.
table with respect to the destination IP of 1.1. Oh, you do not need 1.1, you need 8.8. The signature is for 8.8. Hold on. Yeah, see, this has stopped working. Okay, again, I'll do this. Hold on. Okay. Now let's start this again. See, pinging works. Okay. Now I'll show you quickly the session table. Okay. Look over here. Do you see? There you go. There you go. See, 57 seconds. Again, do this. How much it is? 47 seconds. Okay, now see, if I make any changes in the firewall policy within this 40-second window, okay, it will not get affected until unless this session goes out. Are you able to understand this? Okay, 32 seconds. Now see, I'll change this IPS, apply, click on OK, done. Okay, so I have changed the policy, but the session table already has an ICMP for 17 seconds more. Okay, so again, if I start a ping in the next 11 seconds, okay, it will keep on working. It will still keep on working. 5 seconds. Okay, there you go, still working. See how close I was. See, there you go. Now again, it's 54. Earlier it was 5 seconds. Are you able to follow this? Because the session table still had the ICMP entry for the next 5 seconds, and I started off a ping again. Okay, that's why it it started the timer again, and then you have the the session table entry still, it's there. Okay, so it is not checking the firewall policy. Why it is not checking the firewall policy? Because your information is already available in the session table, which is the top priority from the FortiGate firewall's perspective. Session table is having the top priority. Okay, so it will not check the firewall policy because the information on the traffic is already there in the session table. It will only check the firewall policy if your traffic is not in the session table. Are you guys able to follow this up? Okay, so now see, there is no ICMP traffic, right? So now if I try to ping, okay, so see, as of now it was 0 loss, right? I'll do this again. See, done. Now the application control has came in, sorry, the IPS signature has become active. Okay, now see, this behavior is only and only for traffic which is already in the session table. Okay, and never ever any kind of an attack signature will be inside the session table. This was a genuine traffic, this was a general traffic. That's why I wanted to show you this. Okay, is it clear to all of you?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so guys, this is what we have, all right, with respect to the IPS. Okay, so please go ahead and make sure that you do this lab, because this will make sure you are able to understand the design and how the IPS works inside the FortiGate firewall. Okay, tomorrow what I'll do
Sir,
is
so one here, so like there is an 0-day attack, like for which there is no signature in the system.
Uh-huh.
So the first packet, like the attacker able to establish a session, and he keeps on refreshing the session. Then at that time, I guess firewall will not able to block or restrict its attack on that case.
See, if there is a 0-day attack, okay, then anyway your devices are compromised. 0-day attack basically means your devices are already compromised. Okay, but to stop that kind of a behavior, you need certain additional security devices, which is called as a sandbox. Sandbox is basically a device which can detect a 0-day and stop it right then and there. But a firewall, I mean, no firewall can say 100% that they can stop a 0-day attack only by their own functionality. They need to have a sandbox feature, and then yes, they can do. But then without that sandboxing feature, they cannot. Okay, so if there is a 0-day attack, this basically means that your firewall won't be able to stop it until unless you have a device which is a sandboxing device. That then there is a possibility that it can still be blocked.
It's a one more query. Like if like what would like if there is an established session is there for any known port, and along with that, like the attacker sends any kind of hidden, I guess, the trojan or some backdoor malware that is like hidden in the packet, and if the fast packet got allowed and session get established, then he sends that like hidden malware or something phishing. Then what will happen?
See, if that's the case, then you need deep scanning. Deep scanning is basically when you basically decrypt every SSL protocol. You decrypt all the protocol headers. You look inside the data, and then you pass the traffic. So then in these cases you need deep scanning, and that is the only way you can stop some kind of an attack happening. Otherwise there are chances that it can still get attacked. But yes, with the deep scanning you can stop this.
Okay.
Hello Rakshit, I have another query. Sorry, I added in the Excel. Can you share your firewall policy object? In our company, I can see little different view. I tried to find to do in lab. View means I think it's a normal way, but I don't know how to get that view. Here you see, you can in the firewall, you see port 3 to port 1. Okay. But in our view, somewhere it's written HTTP, then they have segregations of different group of rule in one name with the common name. How we can do that?
Can you give me a screenshot or something which I can see?
Okay. I will take the screenshot.
Yeah, because what will happen is once I see it will make much more sense to me rather than assuming. Okay. So
okay. Here is the heading like port 3 to port 1.
Right.
Okay. And in this heading, they have like implicit rule. You see implicit like written, but they have different names like WebEx policy, something like this.
Yeah,
but we'd like
you can do that
policy. If you check the by sequence, then you able to see that policy names. Not
no, but then I think your
interface name has changed.
No, but then I think he has interfaces,
now,
right?
No, he like asking like that by sequence like this.
Okay.
But even by sequence, they have group of set, like we can expand. Here it looks like club, but with internet access club. But we can see like expand. You see here, you can expand port 3 to port 1. Yeah.
In your case,
like
it's
this,
also like this, right?
Like
Expanding,
this, yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. See, this is they might have zones in your network. Do you have zones in your network?
Yeah, zone here we have.
Yeah, that's right. That I kind of figured that out. So because of zone, when you create a zone, right, you can give a name. So let's like I can give WebEx zone. Okay, and add some port 2. Okay, I'll create another zone and let's say give me a name. Zoom session. Zoom. Zone. Okay. Take port 4. Done. Okay. Come over here. Firewall policy. Create new. Test. WebEx zone, Zoom zone. That's how it is, right?
Yes. Let me see how it looks at the end. It's instead of port, it came like this. No, it's only single line like implicit. You see, implicit is has only one name, and you have the expand, something like this. We have exact.
Okay, so share me the screenshot. I'll see what's how they have configured it.
Okay, I will take the screenshot.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
On the here for the zone case also, we can add multiple port to the same zone, right? Same as a zone based firewall.
Yeah. Yes. True. Okay. So guys, if you have more questions, feel free to ask me. And if not, then probably we can conclude today's topic.
What
Yes.
will be tomorrow classes? Tomorrow class topic, sir.
Tomorrow class topic. I think I'll go with
Sir,
the
I guess
SSL.
Nat you told to continue.
Yeah, I'll complete the. I think there is one more topic with the. So once I complete the IPS, right, then I'll start off with the. I think what is
Sir,
left?
regarding packet flow.
What is left? That is what I'm thinking about. I think yeah, IPS is the last one. I think yeah. So I think what we are going to do tomorrow then.
Rakshit, one topic is also left from day one regarding packet flow.
The packet flow. Yeah. Right. So let's do one thing. Either we can go with the the SSL one, SSL handshake and certificates tomorrow, or we can go with the packet flow and the central NAT. Okay. So
packet flow is better.
Chalo, let's do one thing. Then we'll take the packet flow then. Okay. So let's do one thing. You know what? Let's not waste tomorrow's time with the packet flow. I'll create a video on the packet flow and I'll share it with you guys on Monday or Tuesday maximum. Okay. Tomorrow, let's utilize the time for some lab practice so that you can have something to work on for the whole week, right? So we'll do something like that so that it becomes easier for you to understand and maybe do some practice on the whole week. Okay. The packet flow is a theoretical concept, right? So I'll create a video on it and I'll add it on your video series. Okay. And I'll tell just update you guys in the WhatsApp group as well, so you can just whenever you get time on Monday to Friday, just look over it. Is that okay?
Okay, sir, no problem.
So one query I had for this. So like for IPS, like we go for this, we block these CVs. Like when we go see in the CV, we get the CV blocked. How to search, like how to do the exception for those CVs here? Like for in this case, like we do not want to add or we create a rule for like a subnet and we want to explicit some IP something in that rule. How to do that?
So you are saying that you want to exempt some traffic from the particular IPS signature, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And you search for the vulnerability, like, but I want to search for a particular CVs, like the CV 3390 or something like that. How to search for that also?
So
I
see over here when you search over here, right? Okay. So over here you can search for anything. So for example, CVE.
Okay, here also name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you just mention whatever you want. See, so if I mention CV 2005, so every signature which is basically starting with 2005, it is mentioned over here.
Okay.
Yeah. So from here you can do this. Apart from this, you are talking about exemption. So exemption is edit exempt IPs. So you have to create over here. Okay. Yeah. So just mention whatever IP that you want to exempt, and that's it. So or it will be applied to, let's say, all the whole segment, apart from a couple of IPs which you have mentioned over here. That's it.
Yeah. And have we covered this DNS filter yet?
DNS filter is not in the course.
Okay. Is it like same like DNS synchrolling concept? DNS.
It's similar, yeah, it's similar, but there are certain things which makes it a little different. So I'll see if I can, maybe include, maybe once we complete the course. Okay. So I have to, add the 40 analyzer and 40 manager. So if I get time, I'll do that as well. Okay.
The DNS filter is not included in NSE4?
It's not in the NSE4, and
Okay,
it's not even come into the certification. So do not worry about it at all.
Okay, okay, sir.
Sir, we have a web filtering. Some
Mhm.
categories are there, no, sir, for
Yes.
shopping, entertainment,
Yeah.
like that.
Hmm.
So in my company, some commercial people need this exception for Amazon.
Hmm.
So if I use a wildcard, I
Mhm.
cannot get access. So I
Mhm.
have to enable that online shopping category.
What is it that you want? You want to stop the online category,
No,
but then you want to.
I have to give access to that particular website only, like Amazon.
So static, go for a static URL filter, but then you have to check whether the Amazon is using what URL and what certificate.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So because it's already included in category.
Hmm.
So if you are using wildcard,
Hmm.
it's not giving that response. Like I saw this intrusion and provision.
Mhm.
We have an exception, no, sir.
Right.
Like that, can we specify any IP?
You cannot do that, but then in the static URL filter you have to. So basically you'll block the social media category, and in the
Yes.
static URL filter you have to add Amazon.
Gotcha.
Okay, so what will happen is basically everything else will be blocked, but your Amazon will still function.
There I have
That's
to
how it is.
add that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You try this and let me know if in case you get stuck. I'll help you out.
Okay, sir.
Okay. 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 All right, guys. I think let's stop. Okay, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll see if I can either. I'll probably start off with the packet flow, or maybe a UTM, some the central NAT, or if not, then probably we'll start off with a different topic altogether. What I'm thinking is that with the packet filtering, with the packet flow, it's a purely theoretical topic. So I was thinking that probably I'll take I'll create a video for it and share it that with all of you so that you can see. And if in case you have any questions, please use the Google form link to ask me. If not directly, even as well, you can ask me that as well. But then since it's a weekend, I want to make it utilize for something which is practical and you guys can work on for the whole weekend. So okay, I'll see what we'll be doing, and I'll go ahead and I'll take a call with you guys once we start the session, and then according to that we'll take it up. Okay. All right, so let's stop for now, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.